Fucking Christ, man.
How about that?
Fuck off.
Brunch.
Hit it, boys! Grammy nominations are out, and tough act to follow after last year. Remember, last year was like sneaky, holy smokes, that was the best Grammys ever.
Well, best Grammy show, not in terms of the awards.
Couldn't tell. Actually, I could tell you one award.
Yeah, you can.
Couldn't tell you most of the awards. I do remember we were like, why isn't BTS winning stuff? I remember BTS.
Well, I remember BTS stands being like, why isn't BTS winning stuff?
Right. But even like we watched BTS at the end of the show, and we were like, all right, so that's like the best thing that pop music has going right now. It seems like you guys weren't giving stuff to them during the show, but they only gave out like 2 awards. But there was the iconic Dua Lipa performance.
Iconic for sure.
That really had a lot of people in their feelings, feeling some type of way, feeling a way maybe they hadn't felt in a long time. Just a lot of people got that just beaten down by quarantine, and they saw that Dua Lipa performance. People didn't know what to do with themselves. There was Haim was great. Everyone figured out who Black Pumas was. That was a big moment. Everyone was like, this song's great. Then Colors was in every commercial for a million years. So great Grammys show last year. Even famously not a Grammys guy, Pete Blackburn was quite into it.
Yeah, I mean, like I really am not a big Grammys guy in terms of like both the awards, and I like the musical performances, but I thought that what the Grammys did last year was way cooler than like a typical Grammy show, and it not only made the best of a bad situation with the pandemic, it like was possibly better than any Grammys that I'd ever seen.
So I think you and I both agree it's a tough act to follow. I'll say nominations came out today. The what would it be? 64th or something? Whatever. The January 3rd, 2022 Grammys, we'll call them. Let me see.
What Roman numeral
64th.
is it?
Nailed it,
Good
Dave.
job.
Okay.
Good job.
The 64th Grammy Award experience is off to a great start, because the nominees came out today, and the only reaction that anybody had is Beethoven gets nominated for Grammys. Beethoven's up for a bunch of Grammys.
Really?
Kind of, because like orchestral Grammys, like if somebody does Symphony No. 9 and that gets nominated for a Grammy, kind of Beethoven's up for it. And this has happened a lot of times where like dead people's work, if it's covered or whatever, gets nominated. But I don't know. I don't think Twitter was paying attention back then. All music Twitter is today is memes about Beethoven and the Grammys, and it's the fucking best. My favorite one is like Beethoven after he gets this Grammy, and it's just like the famous drawing of Beethoven, but it's on Instagram, and the first comment is, "Come to Toronto, I'm your biggest fan." And it's a lot of people treating Beethoven like a pop artist, and that's the funniest shit I've ever heard.
That is tremendous. I love that.
It's so, yeah, I think I've retweeted a couple of them. You're getting a lot of the the funeral memes, like carrying the casket.
Oh yeah,
like dancing.
Yeah.
A lot of Undertaker type memes. We were sitting here getting ready for the show. I kept clicking play on videos, and a lot of them had the ba-da-da, da-da-da, and you were like, what are you watching? And I was like, it's kind of relevant to her, but a lot of videos of people coming back to life, a lot of wrestlers involved, A+ memes on Beethoven winning Grammys.
I am a big fan of the meme idea of just treating Beethoven like he's a 21st century pop star.
Yes.
And like some of the not problematic, but like psychotic behavior that we treat pop stars with, like me telling Lily James to run me over with her car.
Oh no, I think problematic is a correct word, but it's like accepted problematic.
Yeah. So like people, like bunch of like teenage girls being like, "Yo, Beethoven, run me over with your car."
Absolutely, Beethoven, work with Jack.
I do love the like, hey, come to blank, because anytime I join like an Instagram live with like John Mayer or any musician that I have any interest in, all like 95% of the comments are just like, come to Brazil.
Yes.
Come to blank. And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, like, he tours, and I'm sure that he's not choosing to stay away from those places. It's just like, the commanding comments to tell people to come to my city is so funny.
Yes, that's going to work.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god. So I'm tweeting.
It's like tweeting at like a hockey player and being like, "Yo, come to Anaheim."
Sign
like,
with
or just like come to Anaheim.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I will when the schedule tells me to.
All right, so I'm tweeting Jack produced Beethoven's next album at Jack Antonoff. Let's go.
There you go.
Oh
like that.
shit! I never tweeted Moneyball with guns.
Oh yeah, I know. I was kind of waiting for that. You had sent them to me in a private text message.
A private personal text message.
Yes. And I was wondering if you were going to do something with them. I thought you were just maybe like spitballing that idea, but it came out so good that I'm shocked that you didn't do anything with them.
Well, damn, now I just fired off the Antonoff tweet. I feel like I got to wait a few minutes.
You've been huge on the Photoshop game, like
yeah,
just
I don't know why.
recreational Photoshop.
Yes.
You sending out the alternate universe posters of the tomato fights.
Those were great
movies. That was such a good idea.
Those were very we'll have to do that.
Like taking the concept of one of like the opponent's poster, turning the other movie into that poster.
I think I hope it's not specific to something like that where both the movie posters are, if you blanked out all the names and the faces, you'd be able to be like, that's The Fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
That's Social Network. I don't know if we did them with a bunch of other ones people would know, but yeah, Fugitive and Social Network, as we discussed on this past Tomato Fights with our friend Randy Havens.
Iconic
what
posters. Yeah.
Great posters. Like, I kind of actually want to print out the Fugitive as Social Network posters. So the one with Harrison Ford that says I didn't kill my wife. I think that if we I want to print that out and put it wherever we record our local podcasts, because that actually is like a pretty sick poster. Check out Tomato Fights, by the way, on Patreon. And many have been asking if there is going to be any sort of Black Friday Patreon sale. And Pete and I were wrestling with it because actually we were planning a new tier on the Patreon, a late November 2021 tier, and it is we're going to drop that anyway, just regardless of Black Friday or anything like that. But we are going to be introducing a $300 tier. It's called the $300 tier. It has all the benefits of the $5 tier, Tomato Fights, bonus episodes, but with all the extravagance of a much more expensively titled tier. So if you're interested in the $300 tier, that will be made available starting Wednesday. But because it's Black Friday, we actually are going to have a sale. It will only be on the $300 tier. And because we want people to get on this tier, we're going to offer it at a massive discount from starting tomorrow or Wednesday, today, when you're listening to this, in perpetuity. The $300 tier will be $10. But wait, we're going to cut it in half, giving you a savings of $295.
That's right.
Is this a good idea, or is this like a little...
No, I mean, I think
we're just giving a lot of people $295.
Yeah, I think it may be tough to wrap your head around a deal this good. So, like, maybe there's some confusion from the listeners as to being like, what? You're giving us the $300 value for $5?
Yeah. It sounds crazy, but this is the time of year where you do crazy prices.
Right. Yeah, it's we're going to take a bath on this. It's it is what it is, but it's for you guys.
It's for all of you. So if you want to get it on the $300 tier for the low price of only $5, that's a savings of $295. Can't even believe it. You go to patreon.com/listentobrunch, sign up, and then when you do it, maybe tweet, just made $295. Thanks, Brunch. And maybe the screen grab of something that says you just signed up for the $300 tier for $5, and then you could listen to Tomato Fights with Randy Havens, with Katie Nolan.
Yeah, and like if you really think about it, Tomato Fights is $1 million idea. So if you are signing up for $5 on Black Friday,
Mm.
you're saving $295, but in reality, when you think about it, you are saving $999,000 and $995.
Wow. I mean,
that is the best Black Friday deal that you could possibly come across.
You are saving at minimum, you're saving $295.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, you're saving $999,995.
Yes.
There's a huge gap of the money that you could be saving too. So you want to pick any number in there, you can do it. But patreon.com/listen to brunch. We're doing this because we care about you. Also, famously have been asked, can we bring back Vineyard Nights candles for Black Friday? Because some people wanted to save them for gifts and everything. Vineyard Nights candles will be available at a Black Friday price, I believe. I hope it's this price, because if I say the wrong price, I'm just going to have to make it that price. We're just crazy price guys. $35, which I think is a savings of $13 for all 3 candles. And they have been very well received. Everybody loves those things. People want more of them.
I have them. I love them.
Pete gets them. He lights them. People were coming up to us in Houndmouth last week saying, hey, I love the smells of the candles. This one's my favorite. Lots of talk about the candles, so those will be available. But that's only a savings of $13. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. If you really want to...
You are telling people how to save their money, though.
That's right. And that's by going to patreon.com/listen to brunch and getting the $300 tier for $5. You could also get this is a stick-up tier. There is no deal on that because that remains a stick-up.
Right, yeah.
That's still $100 for no benefits.
Right. That's, if we wanted to change that and make that a deal, then it's not a stick-up.
It's a bad stick-up.
We're men of principle.
It's a terrible... We call us the Sticky Bandits because that would make us terrible at stick-ups.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Sticky Bandits because we are going to talk about the new Home Alone movie on this episode. And
I don't really want to.
I do want to. I want to talk about it.
Disappointment?
Yeah, and so, I mean, do you want to get into it now, I guess? Or what do you want to hit beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things we could hit. I will say, on kind of the subject of Grammy nominations in music, I was in no hurry to check out the Silk Sonic album, and Feidelberg was very relentless with his tweets about that album. So I was on a car ride home, had some time, popped it on. That is an awesome album.
Yeah.
It's
it was never
great.
not going to be an awesome album.
It was right, exactly. Like Bruno Mars doesn't make bad music. That was going to be excellent.
It seems like a stupid thing to say, but like I didn't rush to check out that album because I knew I was going to like it, and like there was no mystery there. It was more just like, this album will be there when I'm ready for it.
Yeah,
and
it's always going to be. It's going to be good in a month. It's going to be good in a week. It's great. Favorite song on it, Put on a Smile, but it's just, man, song power. Great songs performed by just a couple of virtuosos. That was never not going to be excellent. So I don't know. I kind of feel bad for Bruno Mars in a way because he makes a lot of derivative stuff and he kind of cosplays a lot. So people could be like, oh, well, this is Bruno Mars's like soul record, just like the 24 Karat was Bruno Mars's New Jack record, and like everyone knows that Bruno Mars just does a song like Sting or does a song like this guy, but even though he does that, the songs are so fucking good. And unbelievable songs, at least in top 40 land, don't exist as prevalently as they used to. So he is on, like,
and he's like a performer too. Like he's a performer and an entertainer, and he knows, like he commits to an extent that you don't see a lot of pop artists committing to.
Especially when that album comes out the same day as the Adele album, and Adele is like ultimate talent, just like talent, performance. How are the songs? Fine. Or you could take any artist. You could take Bieber, whomever, and like they have their thing that makes them so good and that makes them so infectious. Bruno Mars truly could do it every which way. Bruno Mars could be Bieber if he wanted to.
Yeah,
Bieber couldn't be Bruno Mars. Like I always say that about like Adele and Beyonce. Like if Beyonce wanted, she could just stand there. Not that just standing there is a bad thing, but like she could be sort of that like have that stoic
It's
charm.
about the music.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about my song to you, but she can do everything
Instead,
perfect, so she
wants,
does everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Bruno Mars is. So
like that's kind of that where Bruno excels is kind of where I had my complaints with John Mayer and Sob Rock, where it was like you sold us this thing, but you didn't fully commit to it. You didn't like just deliver.
well, those boys committed.
You're right. Yeah. You didn't like you sold us an 80s album, but like you didn't fully seem to want to go there and really kind of like wrap yourself in the 80s aesthetic.
Yes.
You kind of still wanted to do like a John Mayer type thing, whereas like Bruno Mars, if he's doing like this like jazz whatever, if he's doing this like soul record, he's like enveloping himself to a ridiculous extent in that like stench.
It's kind of like Sing Street made like very, very 80s songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a movie that was made now about kids making 80s songs. And
like they do it so well to the point where you're like,
this wasn't
I've
an
heard
80s song,
I've
right.
heard this before.
Exactly. So that's like, that is work well done.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruno Mars does that so well, and it's like different from everyone can do. Not that it's easy, but like a lot of artists can do a modern take on whatever. Like Churches will do like a modern take on 80s sounding stuff, and that's so fun and that's so great, and that's kind of the Churches thing. But to really get in there, especially like with what Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak are doing, where they want to go back and make those like 70s songs, that's like very, very sophisticated shit. That's not like a Jack Antonoff go over to a MPC and rustle something up. Like you need to have some insane music theory knowledge, some insane chops.
And you have to take an entire like decade or decades plus worth of like genre and do something that sounds so familiar that like brings you back to a place but doesn't make you feel like you're listening to something that already exists.
Totally. Not
it's
easy
a challenging
to do,
thing.
Not easy to do at all. So seriously, we don't talk about Bruno Mars a ton on here because he's kind of taken for granted, I guess. And like honestly, like I didn't think he should have won the Grammy for 24 Karat Magic. I was like, that's not going to be the best thing Bruno Mars does, but whatever. It's like a fun party record. But all the credit in the world to Silk Sonic. That's a great, great record. I'm assuming it'll be the only thing they do because it'd be sort of weird if there was just like, it would get a little Greta Van Fleetish if they just like stayed making that stuff. And it's like, we already know that you guys have other jobs
right.
and you're very good at those. So I want to shout those guys out. Also mentioned we saw Houndmouth. We
did.
saw Houndmouth, and we've been getting some tweets from people saying they are going to those shows because of the Brunch podcast. We had people coming up to us at the show saying, oh, I knew it because of you, or I knew it because of you. And the Pete Blackburn Houndmouth coaching tree is bearing fruit like you read about.
It is. It's something that I'm pretty proud of. Like even Big Cat, heard about Houndmouth from me, and I was like, damn, that's like Houndmouth is like the first band I think that I've ever put you on to.
Hell yeah.
And I don't know, it's very rare. I think listeners of this podcast know that I'm famously not the music guy, and so to have a band that is so good and that I love so much, and then like somehow, some way, I got there first. Feels pretty good. It's like a nice little like feather in my cap.
If you haven't seen Houndmouth yet, at our recommendation,
baby.
You still
Please do it.
Was that an intentional "oh baby"?
No.
Their song "Ride or Die" has an "oh baby," ride or die. If you haven't seen them yet, they're still playing shows, and get in there and see that show. It was. Honestly, it was going to be great no matter what. We've seen them before. We know that they're incredible. This was, I think, both of our first times back at a club show, and it felt great.
It did. And yeah, I mean, like, it was wild. Like, we were obviously huge Houndmouth fans. Everybody knows that. But like,
famously.
yeah, and it's weird because like I know how much I love Houndmouth, but I think that and I know how good they are, but like when you go to a show, I think it's sort of like hammers it home. You're like, fuck, they are so good. And they played an entire show with cutting out 25% of their catalog because they didn't play a single song from
Golden Age.
From Golden Age.
I think an error was made.
I mean, like I like Golden Age.
I like to yell at them about their set lists, and they aren't like, "Who the fuck are you? Go away, dude!" Because I yelled at them for not doing any Golden Age.
They didn't do any Golden Age. I like some of the songs from Golden Age. It's my least favorite of the 4 albums, but I do like some songs from there. They cut out the entire album. And they still did a show in which they didn't play a single bad song or a single song that I was like, I could have done without this one. Every single song in the set list, I was like, this song rules. I'm so glad they're playing this.
Yep, had to pee pretty much as soon as we got to where we were standing, and there was never an opportunity to go get a drink, to walk around, to do anything, because they were just absolutely on one from the second they hit the stage, just absolutely killing it. Great set list, great energy.
Should point out,
yes,
they dedicated a song to you.
Song to Dave Bean. I need to get your honest opinion on this.
Yeah.
Because I was chatting to the boys after, and I was like, oh, man, you guys screwed up. Because the audience was really just, like, plugged into that show. They were so into them. And
they didn't speak to they didn't do a lot of crowd work.
Not a lot of crowd work. They were just bringing the
I
jams.
actually heard the girl in front of us or beside us was like, huh, they're not going to talk to the crowd, huh? Like, I think they played 4 or 5 songs before they even said anything to the crowd at all.
Assert dominance.
Exactly, and that's a classic Father John Misty move.
Yes, what do you think, pals? Is he talking tonight or
yeah.
no? But it didn't feel like a they're there and we're here kind of thing. It was like a very, again, maybe it was because I hadn't been to a club show in a while.
All about business.
But that felt like everybody was in it together. I mean, audience singing every word, just really. It also has the thing of like an album came out recently, and when you see a band shortly after they put out an album, I love the
energy's different.
Energy of just like people singing the words, maybe fucking up a few words, but
because it's like for most of the people there, it's the first time they're hearing those songs live.
Yeah,
like when a band is touring like off of old stuff, it's there's not the same energy because that if you've been to see them before, you're going to see the same stuff, and you know, it's still going to be great, but you're not going to get the first time experience.
Yeah, Mackenzie, the I Don't Think You Listen section was a big scream along from everybody, and I knew it was going to be like that. I knew that was going to be...
not a single beer smoked, though, by you.
No beers smashed, and this disappointment that we did not throw keys.
I know, yeah.
Matt was like... I was not ruling out like getting hit by some keys. I was like, nah, I need those things. But yeah, before that song, they said like this one goes out to our dear friend DJ, because I've been riding for Mackenzie, man. And I've been kind of like biting my tongue awkwardly, being like, hey, Houndmouth's new stuff isn't out yet, but once it comes out, I got a good feeling there's a song that's fucking incredible, and it's like a top 5 Houndmouth song. So I've been riding for Mackenzie forever. So Shane, wearing the dopest jacket in the world, dedicated...
Size 9 sizes too big.
I believe it was a 6XL.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I believe it's a 6XL. It's a Levon Helm jacket.
It's incredible.
That fucking guy, man. He's the coolest person in the world. He can pull off anything. Much better than Kyle Kuzma trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Shane did it first. Anyway, from my perspective, maybe it's because I hate myself. Shane was like, this one goes out to our dear friend DJ. And I recall a hush befell the audience.
I wouldn't say it was a hush, but it was very much a not a change in energy.
Oh, so that's what they said. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I thought that I heard it as like, all right, this one goes out to our dear friend DJ Bean.
No, nothing was sucked out of the crowd.
Yeah, okay.
It was just flatlined. No, I wouldn't want to say it stayed, it plateaued.
There was someone yelled, "Yeah, go Bruins!"
Really?
Which was like a guess like word association type of thing he
Yeah.
was doing.
Or just like, yeah, you're just not really keeping up with your career very much.
Yeah, like, oh, fuck. Bruins, right?
Yeah.
So, excellent show. Famously, we've not had them on the podcast these last couple of weeks, despite saying that we would. But honestly, all of our Houndmouth time has been dedicated to just like friendship.
Yeah,
And I
just
like that
hanging out with
better.
them. Yeah.
So like we had a couple opportunities. We could have knocked out an interview or something, and we'll do that at some point. But it's just nice to catch up with those guys.
So if you're upset that you don't get to hear Houndmouth, I understand, and I
Listen to the record.
right, I
That's where
understand.
the real truth is.
Especially because we did say that we were going to, but here's the way that you should look at it. We're getting the hangs in. We did hang out with Houndmouth, and
So it's all people really want to know.
we're building the relationship so that when we do get them on the podcast again, it's going to be even better. It's going to be even better. We're going to have the best times. We're going to have the best vibes.
Yeah. I mean, I already think that the
vibes
even
are
if
like
we
pretty close to
hadn't
the ceiling.
even if we hadn't spoken to them after the only other time they were on the podcast,
Mhm.
if we didn't speak to them, nothing, no numbers exchanged, no follows on social media, if we just like booked them again 5 years later, I still think there was enough chemistry there that we'd have a fucking unbelievable segment with them. I mean,
Yeah.
we were joking about some like dark stuff
Oh yeah.
on there. Well, like we were joking about like a kid overdosed or something.
Yeah.
I'll just say right now, that's not something I would joke about
No.
right now.
He buried a bag of drugs at the music festival.
Yes, and then overdosed, and they were
Yeah.
trying to figure out like who is responsible
Mhm.
and everything. And yeah. Anyway, so don't listen to that interview and like cancel me or Pete. But we had enough chemistry off of that if we did an interview now with them, having never spoken another word to them, we'd be good. But instead,
Now we're just best
we
pals.
just strengthened those relationships, and those are the sweetest guys out there, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like truly good fucking people. That's gonna tarnish their rock star reputation, but truly fucking really, really, really good guys. So check them out. They're called Houndmouth. They got a new album called Good For You out. And while you're at it, listen to Golden Age. That's the fucking best record. I love it so much. I don't know if it's their best record, but it's seriously one of my favorite recent records.
Okay.
Certainly on the all underrated team of the last however many years. You will be happy to learn that I recently started watching Succession.
Hell yeah. Are you happy to learn that you recently started watching Succession?
Wouldn't know because I haven't, but I did recently rewatch season 1 of Jersey Shore.
Fucking Christ, man.
How about that?
Fuck off.
With Mike the Situation, with
So
everybody.
that you sent me
Snooki.
you sent me a text this week being like, how cool would it be if we could get Mike the Situation on the podcast?
I was watching Jersey Shore.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was
Just like suddenly you were obsessed with getting Mike the Situation on the podcast in like any way that you possibly could.
I had
and
some
I was
sort
like,
of,
this doesn't make any sense to me.
I had some sort of like coffee-induced episode that I was texting you throughout.
See-
Being like, we should get Mike's Situation on. Oh my God, that'd be so funny. All right, what if we got him on to do this? Fuck, my day's ruined. We're never going to get Mike the Situation on. He wouldn't say yes to this.
I don't like the way that you set this up because like if you had just said that, I'd be like, oh shit, that's really cool. I'm happy that you're doing that. But like you did it. The way you positioned it is like, oh, so I thought about watching
Had the
Succession.
opportunity to.
Yeah.
I clearly had time.
Yeah. And instead, I decided to do this, and for no reason, I just decided to make you believe that.
Yeah. Just keeping you on your toes. As I was saying, I started to watch Succession. You like began reaching for like a big binder of material you had ready. You were like, we can finally talk about Succession on this fucking podcast. But it's all about the mental binder because you famously have seen Jersey Shore, correct?
I have.
That leads to the greatest trivia game-ish type thing. I told you I had a cool trivia thing coming up.
You did say this.
Friends, around Thanksgiving, do this with your family and friends and whomever, assuming everyone has seen Jersey Shore, and we spent a couple of years watching it, right? We all watched 2-3 seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 was famously on the Jersey Shore. Season 2, Miami. Who knows what happens after, but there's Ron. There's the whole gang.
They went to Miami in season 2?
Yeah, I started to watch season 2 as well.
Okay.
I'm really not going to watch Succession.
Man,
but
that's crazy that they didn't like do like 2 seasons at the Jersey Shore.
I know,
and
right?
then we're like, maybe we should switch this up.
I think that they all got arrested so many times there that like
In Miami or in Jersey?
Jersey.
Oh,
Like,
so they probably had
didn't, Ron got arrested for knocking the guy out. Mike was bringing home some girls that got arrested. There was a lot of arrests, and I realized from watching season 1, we're gonna get to this game that I'm gonna do in a second, and it's a really good game.
Okay.
It's like $1 million game. They talk about sex so much.
It's all they talk about.
But like, I didn't realize till I was rewatching it. I was like,
That's it, the entirety
they're
of
there
what that's
for, like,
based
the
around.
whole summer, and like all they're talking about is like getting girls and pulling girls, and I'm like, they each have sex like twice.
From what you know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, right. I guess that's like shown, but
Yeah, like they have sex
but they're like,
twice.
I'm bringing home girls every night. But a lot of it is like they bring home, and I'm not saying that like they should be every night like smashing, to use their term, a different person. But all they talk about is how each night, different girl each night, different blah blah blah, and a lot of it is like, I don't know. I guess it's just so much more childish than I remembered, because a lot of it is
Yeah.
like, yo, you see me hooking up with that girl, and I was like, you guys kissed for like a second. That's not hooking up.
It's fair.
I have
It's
like
fair.
a real boomer energy towards that show for some reason. But here's the game I want to play. I am going to give you a cast member's name, and you tell me the sound clip that plays during their introduction.
Okay,
in the
this
credits.
is a good one.
This is a good game, right?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I want to hook up like a phone line to this, maybe call the Circling Back guys, because this is a great thing to just spring on somebody. Do you want it in order or out of order?
In order. I don't think it really matters.
Okay. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, famously. There's 8 members.
Yeah.
How many do you think you'll get?
1 probably.
There's 1 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Do we want to get that out of the way? I mean, that would be out
Yeah,
of order.
sure.
But do you know who the... What,
yeah,
what's
it's JWoww.
Oh!
That's the one that I know.
Okay, so let's play. All right, so the one I thought you would get would be... Well, we'll say after who I thought it would be. All right. DJ Pauly D. This is such a good game.
I don't really know. I feel like part of the clip is, oh yeah.
No.
Okay. So I don't know. I really don't.
So it is a voiceover guy that sounds a lot like the "Damn son, where'd you find this?" voice saying DJ Pauly Del Vecchio.
Okay.
It's, I believe, it is one of 2 sound clips that is not the voice of that person.
Okay, that's good to know.
So 0 for 1, not that it matters.
No.
Snooki.
Snooki, oh shoot. It's something about her, like something about like a small drink or something, or like I feel like it's like a reference to like a small package or something.
You can have 1 lifeline.
Okay.
The lifeline is call a random person, put them on speakerphone, and see if they can get it.
Huh.
It can be a Circling Back guy.
Okay. All right.
Which
yeah.
Circling Back guy do you want to call?
I'm gonna call Will. I feel
Okay.
like Will might know.
I am calling Will DeFreeze.
Yo, yo.
Hello, Will DeFreeze. This is DJ Bean, and I'm here with Pete Blackburn. We're recording the Brunch podcast, and Pete has used you as a lifeline for the coolest trivia game ever.
I'm in.
Okay, the game we are playing is I give Pete a cast member's name from the hit MTV show Jersey Shore, and he tells me the sound clip that plays during their introduction in the credits.
Okay. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, have you seen the show Jersey Shore?
I have.
All right, you remember in the beginning, they play an LMFAO song, Get Crazy, that song, and each cast member is introduced while a clip plays underneath them. For example, We have already done DJ Pauly D, which is DJ Pauly Del Vecchio. Pete is stumped. He's hung up on Snooki.
Well, Sammy is the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet.
So
That
that's
was
the only one that
thought
I
would be the
knew.
most obvious one. Yep.
Oh, that's Sammy.
Right.
Okay.
Oh my God. Get crazy. Get wild. Get crazy. Oh man, I'm totally blanking. I'm so embarrassed right now.
It's a good game, right?
It's a good game, but
It's a great game.
Okay.
I don't know the answer either. I feel like it's.
I don't know the answer. This is really gonna kill me because I watched so much of this show for so long.
I knew he
That's
did.
why it's-
I knew he did. That's why I called you.
Michael Weiner's podcast, Jersey, the official podcast of the Jersey Shore.
Wow. It's such a good game. That's why, because everyone's seen the show, and we all spent way too much time with the show. So, what can I can give you this one, and then we can move on to the next one.
Okay.
It sounds like you are not trying to blow up your spot. Are you hanging out with a baby?
Yeah, this is actually Fritz's first podcast. So this is big.
Whoa!
Hell yeah.
Yes.
A
Second
lifetime
youngest
moment.
guest we've ever had on the podcast. Pete Blackburn's still holding that title. Okay. The answer, Snooki says, I'm going to Jersey Shore, bitch.
Wow.
I can hear her saying it too, and that's the embarrassing part.
All right. We will move on to Mike the Situation.
I feel like he just said something about being a situation.
I mean, that's a great guess
Yeah.
because most of his lines on the show involve the word situation, such as when he's ordering pizza and they say, what's the name? And he says, situation. And they're like, what? He says, yes, SITUA.
I don't know this one.
I'm trying to think. Okay.
This is the best
There's
segment
no-
in show history.
None of them say anything about Jim Tan Laundry because that didn't become a bit until after the show had already aired.
Correct. That is actually sneaky late in season 1.
Yeah. I don't know this one either.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that I'm the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet was JWoww.
Famously, JWoww is known as JWoww Sweetheart.
That's true.
Okay, so do we want the answer on Mike the Situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got a situation.
Oh, so
See?
yeah.
Will was right.
Yeah, half credit.
What's up?
Okay, Sammy is the free space.
Yeah.
I'm the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet. Ronnie is an interesting one.
Is it just him screaming lights out numerous times after smoking some innocent man for talking to his girl?
That's one shot. Immediately arrested. That one's so funny. Like, I hope the guy's okay, but he's like, yeah. And the guy, and then he's like, self-defense, bro. Self-defense.
Does Ronnie say something about like a gorilla?
You are very. It's a good question if you cut it off after a few words that what you just said. You said, does Ronnie say something?
Stupid?
How about this? You ready for me to blow your mind?
Yeah.
Does Ronnie say something?
Oh, the answer is
Question
no?
mark. He does not say anything.
Okay.
So what is the sound?
Oh my God.
This is the best game.
Is it like disgruntled Italian sounds? Oh,
I'll accept that. He's just laughing. He's
Oh, Really?
Yeah,
Oh
just
my
like-
God.
laughing like a goofball.
That sounds about right.
All right. Now, here's the one that I thought nobody would get, and that's why I was confused when Pete, you said you might get it. What does JWoww say?
Does she say something about a praying mantis?
It's from that quote, but that part isn't in it.
I'll rip your head off or something?
After I have sex with a guy, I will rip their heads off.
Okay, so I knew
I'll
that
give you that
one.
one.
All right, yeah.
so it was the beginning part of the quote.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like I'm like a
impressed
praying
with- I'm
mantis.
impressed with Pete there.
Yeah, that's the one that I remembered. So I combined Sammy and JWoww. I was like, I'm the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet, but I'll rip your head off.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my brain, they're the exact same person. They just have different names under them during the confessional
It's
parts.
true.
I'll tell you what, man. This is all coming because I recently rewatched season 1 of Jersey Shore, And I'll say, like, I picked up a lot of new things about them, like with the 2021 context. Tell you what, JWoww might be the best person on that show. Like the best human, like loyal friend, doesn't seem to
Has
do
some
anything
mom qualities to her too.
Right, like really looking out for everybody, like a real, a good person in that group. Like I assumed it would be Vinny, but like Vinny's got to really watch his language. That brings us to Vinny. What is played under Vinny? Now, I gave Pete a hint with DJ Pauly D that it was one of two that did not feature that person's voice. This is the other one.
Okay.
I believe it is the Situation's voice or Pauly D's voice yelling something.
Oh yeah, Vin, or something.
Go Vinny! Go
Oh,
Vinny!
okay.
And he's doing the eyes thing.
Okay.
That's what it is. Go Vinny, go Vinny.
Yeah. All right, now let's bring it home with the 8th and often forgotten castmate because she just always leaves. Angelina.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I have no clue what Angelina's was. I couldn't pick her out of the lineup.
What does she call her? She says the Kim Kardashian of Staten Island. She calls herself that. But that's not what's on here.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. I think Will said it to us a few minutes ago. At the beginning of this conversation.
Did I say it in the context of Jersey Shore? Or am I just naturally Jersey Shore-ish?
No, although I was like, wait a second, did I call Angelina? You said at the beginning of the phone conversation. Maybe you did. Who knows? We're going to go back and play this, find that you could have said something else.
I have no clue. I can't believe I got 0 right.
That's not true. You got Sammy right.
Have you taped tomorrow's episode yet, Will?
We have taped tomorrow's episode. We have not taped our Bachelor recap.
Okay, well, the next thing you do, or maybe even next week's episode or something, I'd like for you guys to play this game. I think it's a cool game to bring to the fellas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to get them to play this because I don't know if anybody would get anything right at this point.
So I'll tell you, Pete was given the option of 3 lifelines to call. His options were Dave Carter Ruff, Dylan Chevery, and one Will DeFreeze, and he chose you.
I think that I appreciate him choosing me. I think that out of all of us, I think I am the one who would be the most likely to know these things. But unfortunately, I don't have Dave and Dylan might have better memories than me at this point.
Interesting. Okay, so Angelina says, hello, which is part of a quote of her saying, hello, they're taking off their underwear or something like that, because I believe the first night they bring some girls. No, the second night they bring some girls back, because the first night, famously, Snooki gets drunk and everybody
it is the
her.
most aggressively
Staten Island.
Yes, like
hello. Are you dumb? That's what she said. Are you dumb?
That's incredible.
Real Detective Crashmore qualities, which actually I don't know if Will get that reference because I believe he's still working his way through I Think You Should Leave. That's right. I'm a backer. I listen to Circling Back. I know what's going on.
I've been watching a lot of episodes lately, so I'm really cruising now.
Love it. Are you familiar with Detective Crashmore?
I don't think so yet.
You'll definitely know when you get to Detective Crashmore, but one of his lines is, "Are you dumb?" And he says it in a fascinating way. Will DeFreeze, thank you so much for answering the phone and being cool with us just putting you right on the air, because it is a potentially kind of invasion of trusty type thing, but this felt like a very safe move, and we're glad that you played along.
There's not a lot of people that I will pick up the phone for, but when brunch comes calling, I have no choice but to answer.
Hell yeah. Well, we appreciate you doing it, and we hope that you have more fun in the subsequent playings of this game, because this is going to be probably the hottest game of Thanksgiving this year.
You have to think it is. I'm going to quiz these guys hard.
Excellent. All right, we'll talk to you later, Will.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Take care. That's Will DeFreeze from Circling Back. You could check him out at patreon.com/listen to brunch.
That's right.
You're going to want to pick the $300 tier.
That's right.
And pay whatever you want. if you don't want to save $295, we're not making you do anything.
Right? Yeah, you can subscribe to that tier. You know, however many times you want, so you could make it $300.
You want to have like multiple wallets, as we say in the crypto world.
That's right. Create them burners.
I mean, at some point, I think it's insane that we haven't just like created burners to juice our own Patreon numbers. It would obviously cost us money because Patreon takes a fee, but I don't know. I want to have that sleepover.
Same, man.
So, folks, do that Patreon tier, whichever one you want. There's the $10 tier that gives you more things than the $300 tier, but the $300 tier, again, is a lot more expensively titled. So if you want to go bragging to your friends, it's a good flex. You can make you can make your profile pic that you're a member of the $300 tier. It'll be like an NFT. It'd be great. Okay. I guess we have to play. Did you enjoy playing that game? It was a good game? Probably frustrating.
It was frustrating, yeah, because I was trying to remember the clips, but like really the only two that stood out were Sammy and JWoww.
Yeah, I think that so you obviously got Sammy. I give you credit for JWoww. I mean,
that was the one that I remember. I was like, oh shit, this girl is gonna rip somebody's head off after sex.
Right.
That's a quote that you don't forget.
Yeah, it's just like a mental note. You're like,
Well,
I probably shouldn't have sex with that person.
Right.
All right. Home Sweet Home Alone. 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. If it were in a tomato fight, I wouldn't go to it. Because everyone was trashing this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It came out without any real hoopla. There was some hoopla like a month ago, but then it came out and no one was talking about
The
it.
headlines were the hooplas. That's it. Like the casting headlines. That was it. I knew that they had casted his name is Archie.
Yes.
Archie.
Famously, his name is Archie Yates.
Archie Yates
plays Yorkie
from
Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, from Jojo Rabbit. That was a big deal. I remember Rob Delaney had been casted.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I had heard that Pete Holmes was in the mix.
Ellie Kemper.
Like I was interested for sure. And like Home Alone is my favorite Christmas movie, so
Ooh,
I will check in when Home Alone has updates.
Yes.
So, my expectations were quite low heading into this based off of one, the reviews, and two, the quiet release. They tried to sneak this release by us.
Disney Plus acted like this wasn't even on Disney Plus. When I went on Disney Plus, I had to search for it.
My first note is this movie is impossible to find even on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus is like, nah, I think that's like Hulu. Watch something else while you're here, but definitely don't watch this. But I mean, so this cast: Ellie Kemper, Rob Delaney, Archie Yates, Keenan's in the mix, Pete Holmes is in the mix, Chris Parnell. It's the screenplay by Mikey Day. Did you notice?
I did not.
That was kind of interesting.
Oh, wow.
So Mikey Day and somebody else, I forget who. Shout out to them, though. And, oh my goodness, nobody liked it.
No.
And it was buried by Disney Plus, but I still went in being like, well, everyone's some haters.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, and I got this when I said it was bad on Twitter, maybe it's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
No, confirmed. This is terrible, and it's because this movie is the biggest wimp in the world. The Home Alone movies are violence. They are the kid attacking the adults, and this movie refused to do that. This movie was very afraid of doing
offending anybody.
Yes, this was a movie, and I don't want to sound like Kid Rock, but this movie was made by parents that don't allow squirt guns at birthday parties. And I know parents who say that that's like a common thing, actually, where parents don't want squirt guns because they don't want
like
kids
the
to
imagery
be in the
of guns.
And like, that's
fine.
Raise your kids however
But don't
you
make
want.
a Home Alone movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're making a Home Alone movie, you need to have a kid hitting some adults with paint cans, not with flour.
Yeah.
Flour and milk is what he hits these parents
brother.
with. And also, the intruders aren't burglars.
They're not. They're
It's
not.
a misunderstanding. They go into the house because they need to get something that they think the kid took from them.
Yes, like a very expensive thing. Like they are within their rights to want that thing back because it is going to like save their lives, basically.
Yeah, so some parents are about to be in some Squid Game shit because they need a lot of money. They're going to sell their house, and they find out that they have a doll that's worth a lot of money. And during an open house, kid stops by, futzing around with the doll. Someone makes a comment of like, hey, those dolls look like things that are worth something. Delaney looks it up, finds it's worth $200,000, although It's buy it now price on eBay is $200,000. I can set my NFTs at like 300 ETH. That don't mean they're worth 300
That's
ETH.
true.
So they want to get the doll and they see it's gone. So they suspect, okay, well, that kid was futzing around with it. We're going to have to go get the toy back.
And to Rob Delaney's credit, he makes a very honest effort to try to get that doll back in a very legal, very polite manner.
Goes, finds the parents, and
Yes.
is like, hey, look, seems like there was a misunderstanding. Could we get this? And they're like, oh, we're rushing off. And Pete Holmes is being super Pete Holmes about it. They rush out of there. So they're like, okay, we have no recourse but to, I guess, walk into this house and get it.
And like Pete Holmes is like quite free with the information on how to get into the house.
He's shouting about it.
Yelling the code to get into the house. He's like flaunting his key and then like putting it under the flower pot. It could not have been more telegraphed that like, hey, please break into my house.
So they go into the house and they're saying, we need to get this doll. And Max, Archie Yates, famously plays Yorkie in Jojo Rabbit, has been left behind. He's home alone. He's done a nice little Scarface montage that was okay.
Yeah.
Shoved his face into a bunch of candy.
Honestly, like I think that like some of the jokes in this movie were fine. Like
Yeah,
the jokes were pretty good. I had more of a problem with the plot and how stupid it was.
Right. So they go inside. They're saying, we got to get this doll. When we find this little, the doll is a little boy. And they say, when we get this boy, we're going to sell him. Some dumb old ladies are going to spend so much money on this. That's how we would talk if we found out that these microphones or something are worth a ton of money to music historians. We'd be like, yo, some dorks are about to spend $1 million on this. Let's sell it. Like, not saying though, not like just talking disparagingly of those people, but just saying, look, there's people out there that want this. So they say some old ladies are going to spend money on this. Max overhears this, and classic mix-up thinks that he is going to be the target of human trafficking and wants to fend these people off, but not super violently, not super, like, he wants to do it in a way that, like, wouldn't even get him in trouble if it were done at, like, daycare or something like that. He just light stuff, like, milk, stuff like that.
Legos on the ground.
They fall down so many times by happenstance, and I was screaming at the TV. I was like, no, it's not funny when Harry and Marv are falling down because, they slipped. It's because the kid's doing this stuff to them. But this movie did not have, again, I sound like Kid Rock. This movie did not have the balls to have the kid do stuff to these people.
Yeah, no, I like 95% of the damage inflicted on these people was self-inflicted damage of them being clumsy. Like there was a scene where they're trying to get over like a big wall in the backyard, and it's just them falling all over each other and like looking like fools because they're uncoordinated. And like on top of that, they mix in a fucking fart joke.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is not what Home Alone is. It's not about the clumsiness. I mean, there's an element of clumsiness to like the wet bandits and the sticky bandits.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's about. It's about the kid outsmarting the bandits and like being fucking dark and violent.
Yeah, I mean, well, the premise of Home Alone is obviously very dark. What happens if a child is left alone
to
and
survive?
The worst happens.
Right.
It's not he's left home alone and there's a fridge full of food and we'll be back in a couple hours. No, this kid is left alone for multiple days at a time while burglars are targeting this house. Like, that is every parent's worst nightmare. So this kid has to really do some shit to save his life.
He's not only like trying to defend his house, he is trying to save his own life and also humiliate the people that are coming for him.
There's hijinks along the way. Yeah. That's what makes it a movie. But this movie, man, is just so afraid to go there. They finally get through the wall. They finally stop tripping over themselves. And Ellie Kemper is now faced with Max. And what does he do? He sprays her with soda.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mentos and soda.
No. And like the bottle doesn't even explode and hit her.
No.
It just sprays some soda on her.
It is so weak.
Flour and milk. Eventually, he gives Rob Delaney a concussion by rigging the trampoline to have him smash his head into the tree. And this movie is so bad and so soft that when that happened, I was like, yes, good. But I was never saying yes, good when I was watching Home Alone. I just knew what I was watching with Home Alone, which is this is a violent movie. When I was watching Home Sweet Home Alone, I'm like, yo, how are you going to pretend you're doing a Home Alone thing without doing Home Alone
Without
stuff?
committing to it. Yeah, and like the
Really soft.
an entire element of Home Alone is rooting for Kevin McAllister and rooting for the like just like him to succeed and him to survive. There's no rooting for anybody.
Yeah, because
like,
there's no
they
bad-
want you to root for everybody, so you don't get to root for anybody.
Because there's no bad guy in this movie. All I guess you're thinking is, oh, I hope you all realize it's a misunderstanding. Like, oh, it's the world's fault or it's the universe's fault.
Right.
Like,
Maybe we should take some
no.
time to understand each other more and like communicate. It's
Ru-
like, yeah, sure. Like if you want to make a movie that sends that message and has like a fantastic Christmas spirit and like this overarching like feel good message, sure, go for it. And Home Alone had that. They worked that in, which was part of the reason why Home Alone is so great. But a Home Alone movie does not work if there is no element of like danger or villainy.
lowest stakes.
Yeah.
Lowest stakes, man. And then at the end, they all realize, oh, it's a big misunderstanding, and they become a family.
Yeah, it
They
doesn't
all
make any
become
sense.
a family together. Ugh. Boo. Disgusting.
yeah, it
so
is.
upsetting. And that cast has rock stars.
Mhm.
That confusing day with Ellie Kemper a few months ago aside, where the internet was like, wait a second, she's what? These are all rock stars who are beloved, especially Archie Yates.
And he was, I don't want to be mean, he's a kid. He was bad. He was very bad. And I don't
that
think
character sucked.
the character sucked, and I didn't think that he had a ton of room to really spread his wings like he did in Jojo Rabbit in a like somewhat small role. But like he had nothing to work with, and he didn't give much. I thought the best person in this movie was Pete Holmes.
I do too, because he finally got to play a dad.
Yeah.
His thing in his bit in Crashing about how like he's just like automatically a dad.
Mhm.
That's like the best Pete Holmes joke ever, because it's bang on. It's somebody being able to read a room full of mirrors. So bad movie.
It was really,
Don't recommend it.
It was really
seriously.
bad.
Don't like.
It-
I would
no,
not say watch it.
Don't pretend it doesn't exist.
Best thing about it, I will say.
Disney Plus is even trying to pretend it doesn't exist.
I know. And when he's scheming, which is I guess like going to the store and buying milk or something, it does play the really cool like Carol of the Bells / Home Alone theme
Mhm.
thing that plays in the first one that has like the awesome drums. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's like
Well, famously,
yeah,
John Williams, did
Right.
Home Alone,
right.
so.
They got that goodness in there, and that's like one of the best Christmas songs that nobody thinks about. I love that. I was watching that. I was like, I forgot that this is an absolute banger. I want to learn how to play drums just so I can play this song.
If we're talking about technical elements from this movie, I don't know if you picked up on it, but oh my god, this movie was like obsessed with weird transitions from scene to scene.
Oh yeah, like
It-
there's at one point where it cuts from like the kids in Tokyo to the house.
Yeah,
And like it looks like the
it's
kid's
so,
head kind of falls
yeah,
off.
it's so weird. They have like the weirdest transitions from scene to scene, and it's legitimately distracting. This movie, it just like this is one of those movies where I was watching it and I was like, okay, maybe like this is the jokes are kind of hitting. Like it's funny at points. Maybe people are like had too high of expectations or something, and then like the further detached you get from it, you're like, fuck, that was terrible.
Yeah.
It really, it's like legitimately making me mad how far they ventured from the premise and the structure of what made Home Alone work.
Yes, big, very bad, disappointing.
Also, there was a quote unquote trap in the movie set by the kid where he puts a VR headset on Rob Delaney. And Rob Delaney's character in the movie is a tech guy.
Yes.
He is like a tech-obsessed nerd who's like obsessed with the cloud, and he works with like data migration. He is a nerd. And the trap is that he has a VR headset on and he doesn't realize it. He thinks that he's like in the middle of the desert. It's so stupid. The logic in this movie is insane. It doesn't make any sense. Also, the fact that I think like the biggest plot loophole or biggest plot thing to close
Yeah.
in converting Home Alone into a 2021 movie is like, hey, you can just send a text message to your parents or whatever. He's a 10-year-old kid, whatever. He doesn't have a cell phone. They tell you that. That's how they close it. But like he's in this like smart home that has the hub, like the Google Home or the Alexa or whatever, and like they try to close the plot hole by being like, "Oh, sorry, your plan doesn't include the ability to make phone calls or send text messages," which whatever, like it ignores the fact that the reason why he misses the flight to go to Japan in the morning is because he wants some peace and quiet. He goes into the back seat of one of his parents' cars. I assume that it's
We've all
like a
been there.
Tesla or like a BMW or something. And he watches cartoons in the back on the big old screen that is in the car, which like presumably you'd think that would be able to like send an email, send a text message, make a phone call from the car. It clearly has Wi-Fi.
I gotta say, the usage of technology in this movie really disappointing because it now seemed like a good time to do another Home Alone because we've all learned our homes inside and out over the last couple of years, and obviously technology's come such a long way. It's like, oh, there's so many things that you could use
That like the burglars could use to sabotage the house.
Yes.
We're even seeing that in Scream that's coming out.
Yes.
Like the Ghostface is like
unlocking the door and doing all the like there's so many things that they just
This movie could have been so much better if it was smarter and stuck to the premise and had a little bit of testicular fortitude.
Very half-baked. Very half-baked movie. The good news is the next regular brunch podcast you hear next week, we will have seen Licorice Pizza because we are taking a jaunt to the Big Apple where we will see Licorice Pizza in 70 millimeter film.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't totally know what that means, but I know that Paul Thomas Anderson is obsessed with it, and that's why he wants all his movies to be seen. So, ask and you shall receive, Mr. PTA. We're going to go see that Saturday, and it's going to be spectacular. And then afterwards, just a little friend update, we're going to go skating on Rockefeller Plaza because that's a touristy thing I've never done before. And oh my God, I'm so excited to do it.
Yeah, same. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, it's outdoor skating season. So, folks.
Windy City, here we come.